Hi everyone, so today I want to show you how I made this card. Now we're going to call this card a hexagonal pop-up balcony card. Now this card is kind of inspired from a few different places. So it was actually the glorious pop-up card that we did the other week. We did that in my craft class, and one of my craft ladies, Leslie, she really liked it, and she did a fantastic version. My goodness, it looked amazing. It was like this, so it's hexagonal, but what she'd done is where we'd done those bits on the front, so the little fold left and right, just if you look at the glorious pop-up video, I'll try and put it up here. She'd actually done that on each of these sides, and then she had butterflies. Oh my goodness, it looked amazing. And like, you know, flowers, and it just looked amazing. And so off the back of that, because I really liked that and I wanted to try it, but then I was thinking, actually, it'd be better if the struts went up rather than sideways. So instead of with the glorious pop-up where they fold side to side, it would be better on this card if they folded up, because then when you fold it flat, you're not having to worry about it all sliding off to one side and, you know, going over the edge of the card. So I decided to do it this way around. And that way it folds flat. This will fit in an envelope for a 6x6 card. It's actually slightly narrower than you need, but that's good because it gives you scope. Then if you want to make these stick out a little bit more, you can, because you've still got, because I think this measures about 5.5, so you've still got half an inch to play with. But yeah, so this is what I did. So I'll go through all the papers and everything that I use for this at the end. So if you hang around till the end, you can see what papers and stuff I use and dyes and whatever. And yeah, I hope you like it. And there's a place on the back there to write. So in here, you've got a little place to write. And I deliberately did that bit on the back because I usually find I end up with a tiny little panel. And it's like, well, where am I, how am I going to write in that? So I thought if I make a wider section that kind of opens up at the back, then that way at least you've got some, you know, a decent enough space to write in. So yeah, so that's that there. And as you saw, it all folds down flat for posting. And so when it's sat on your desk, that's what it looks like. So yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, so for this card, you're going to need a few pieces. You're going to need your a base card that is 6 inches by 11 inches. Okay, you're also going to need a white piece. So this is the bit you're going to write on. So if you're doing something that needs creams, then obviously you need to do whatever colour you want, but as long as you can write on it. So this piece is 3¼ by 5½. And then you're going to need a whole load of pattern pieces. Now I've actually split this up, so I've only got so many patterns and so many mats. So I've got different patterns is what I mean. So I've got this pattern as well. Okay, so I've done it differently, and when we come to stick it down, you'll see what I've done of what pattern. But in total, you need five pattern pieces that are 1¼ by 5½, and then you need 6 matte pieces that are 1½ by 5¾ You can also add an additional 2 pattern pieces that are 1 inch by 5¼ and you'll see in a minute they're going to go on the sides of your white piece if you want to. You don't have to. Okay, so you'll see that in a minute. Yeah, so that's that. And then you also need a whole load of struts. Now these struts can change. It really is up to you what sizes you do. I've done these 2 different sizes for now, and we'll see how it works out. You might want to make them slightly taller, slightly shorter, slightly wider. It's really up to you. So the ones that I've used anyway, I've used 5 that are 1½ by 6½ and 5 that are 1½ by 3½. And actually these end up being 1 inch by 3½ and 1 inch by 6½. Just because I just had those left over, so I thought there's no point in me cutting out new pieces that are exactly the right size just for that ½ inch when this will actually do for what I need. So it's really up to you. You can either do them the width of your pattern pieces and your mats or whatever, or you can just do them a little bit smaller or whatever you want. It's fine. So that's the general idea anyway. Right, so with your base piece, we bring in the scoreboard. Okay, so on your scoreboard, you're going to score at 1 3/4 3.5, 5.25, 7, 8.75, and 10.5. Okay, so that's on your main base piece. Then if we go over to your little white piece, so your white piece or whatever that's going to be, you are going to score at 1 1/4 and at 2.5. Okay, now if you want to, you might want to make this slightly smaller, because I've done 1 1/4, 1 1/4, 1 1/4, but you might need to just trim a tiny bit off, either like 1/8 off either side, just so that when we come to fold it, it does fold up properly. So it's really up to you what you do with that. I'm going to trim a little bit off mine, I think, because otherwise they're not going to fold properly. Then you want to bring your strips in, your little small strips. So if you're doing the size that if you're doing different lengths, you'll have to work out your own measurements. But the size that I've got here, which is your, this is a small one. So this is the 1.5 by 3.5. You're going to score at 1/2 inch, at 1 inch, at 2 inches, and at 2.5 inches. Okay, and you're going to do all 5 like that. And then your 1.5 by 6.5, the longest one, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, at 1 inch, at 3.5 inches, and at 4 inches. And again, score all 5 exactly the same. And that should be all of your scoring done. Okay, so we're going to start off by just folding and burnishing all of our score lines on our base. Okay, now the next thing you can do, if you want to, you can just notch out your tabs. I'm going to put tape on first and then notch it. It's a whole lot easier to do that. So we're just going to put some red tape on the edge here, and then we're going to notch it out. There we go, so I've put the red tape on. So now I'm just going to notch that out, top and bottom, like that. It just makes it a bit easier when you come to stick it down. So now what we're going to do is take our base card, open it up, and just fold over like maybe 2 flaps. Take the backing off here, and then fold this 1 flap over and stick it down, and then that gives you your hexagonal tower base. So now you need to bring in your patterns and your mats. I've gone ahead and stuck them down already just to speed things up a little bit. So you want to go ahead and stick your patterns onto your mats, you know, the 5 mats we did in the 5 patterns. So just at this point, I'm going to show you what I did with my patterns. So I went for 2 different patterns. I've got the check and I've got the stripe. So I've done 3 of the stripe and 2 of the check. So when I lay them on my actual card, they will end up being like that. So I've got an alternate. If you want, you can do them all the same. It's really up to you. It really doesn't matter how you do it. So we're going to start at the front. I'm just going to work out where my front is. So I'm just going to go ahead now and I'm going to stick these down. So I'm going to stick the first 3, 1, 2, 3 on there like that. And then I'm going to stick these 2 on the back there. I'll show you in a minute as I do it. Okay, so I've stuck the front 3 down. So if I turn it over now, these 2 here are going to go either side there. Okay, and then we're going to deal with this middle panel in a minute. So we're going to go ahead and stick these 2 down. You're going to be left, hopefully, with 1 matte layer that is spare, because you've got 6 matte layers and only 5 patterns. And I'm hoping I made that clear at the beginning. If I didn't, I will try and add a caption earlier on so that that's clear. But yeah, we're left with 1 mat. So this mat is going to go in the middle there. Okay, so we're going to stick that down now. Okay, so you should end up with that. So we'll turn it around. That's the front, and then that's the back. So on the back still, we're going to bring in our white card, and I have just trimmed literally 1/8 off either side. Just going to fold these and burnish them. And then what we need to do is, see, the reason why you want to take a little bit off is because you want that to be able to kind of close. It's not going to fully close because obviously it's card, but you want that to be able to close up like that. So now what we're going to do is we are going to turn this over, and on these two panels here, that's where we're going to stick those smaller pattern pieces. So the pieces that are 1 inch by 5 1/4, they're going to go on those two panels there. So I'm going to go ahead and stick those down now. Okay, so you end up with that. Now, what you want to do next is we're going to add either tape or glue onto here. I would probably use a red tape or go for a Yoo-hoo. I'm actually going to use a red tape on this one. We're going to put tape over the whole of the back section. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just peel this backing back. I'm not going to peel it off completely, like that. Turn it over. And then we're just going to fold these two sides in like that. And then if we bring our piece back in, this is going to stick in the middle here on the back. And what this will do will allow us a decent-ish amount of room to be able to write our message in. So you've got all that space to write your message in. Otherwise, you end up with this skinny panel and it's like, where am I supposed to write? Am I going to write sideways, or how does that work? So I thought if we do a little panel, then, you know, that works. And obviously, when it's actually open on the shelf, it doesn't shut properly, but at least you haven't just got a big white expanse. It kind of sits like a little triangle. And it's the back of your card anyway, so it's not a problem. Once we start adding all the other pieces, you'll see that that doesn't really stand out quite as much as it does right now. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to lie this down. So I've got the front again, and we're going to bring in our little pieces. Now I've folded all the rest of mine, so you just want to go ahead and with all of them, you want to fold and burnish along all the score lines. I fold and burnished all my score lines. Now, one thing I need to just note and point out, which you probably noticed, you're probably thinking, why are some white and some navy? Well, it's because the navy ones are going to go where the navy panels are, so they kind of blend in a bit better. And the white ones are going to go where the white panels are, so they kind of blend in a little bit better. Okay, so that's why I've done them like that. So what you want to do now on all of your strips is on this bottom tab, so you've got your big panel, then there's a little bit which is your side, then a big panel, then a side, and then you've got your tab. So on all of your sides, on the top of them, because you've mounting folded everything, so on this bit here, on all of them, you're going to put red tape. Okay, so I just had a thought. So I said to put them on the inside like that. Now I'm just thinking, because if you do that like that, it's going to stick on the inside, but that does mean that you may well see, like if you have it this way round, you're going to see that tab. So it's up to you. If you want to, you can go ahead and stick them that way round, which would actually look better. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of mine like that. So one of mine will be on the inside, but the rest I'm going to stick on the inside here. Just because of the way we're going to stick them, they're going to be hidden. So I would stick them on the inside if you want it nice and neat. It's completely up to you, but yeah, that's what I would do. Okay, so once you've done all your strips, you want to go ahead with each one and make them up into a little cube. So we're going to fold that over like that over like that, and there's your little, it's not really a cube, but your little cube. Now you might find that it folds nicely one way, that way it folds nicely, but that way it doesn't. So if that's the case, just make a note of which way it folds nicely, because you're going to need to know that information for when you stick them on your card. Okay, so you should end up with your 5 long pieces and then your 5 short pieces. Okay, so I'm going to put the short pieces to one side and bring just the long pieces in, and also your original base. So on the back of these, so I've folded all of mine the same way, so I know they fold flat like that, and I've made sure that the little side goes at the bottom and the big panel goes at the top. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to get a pencil. In fact, I'll probably just do it as I go through. So what I'm going to do now is on the back of these, so I'm going to turn this over. So this back piece here, it's really ugly, it's got the tab on it. I'm going to put tape on that big panel, not on the side, just on the big panel, on all of those. Okay, so we've got our 5 pieces, long pieces, and they're all taped on the back. So now we're going to bring our card base in, and we're going to take, I'm going to start with the middle. So obviously, because I've got white, I'm going to start with the white strut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this so it lines up with the, well, actually, you could do it if you wanted to, so it lines up with the bottom of your pattern. But I think I'm going to need to make it line up with the base, with the bottom of the whole piece, just because I have a feeling it might be a bit of a pain later if I don't. So I'm going to just line that up like that. So I'm going to take this backing off here, and I'm going to be brave and take it all off, which I might regret later. And then making sure you've got that little piece at the bottom and then the big piece at the top, you're going to line that fold line up with the base of your piece, of your base card, and making sure it's nice and central, left and right. And then you're just going to stick that down like that. So you end up with that on the front. Okay, so then you're going to carry on with all of your other pieces apart from the one where it's got your message card. So I need blue pieces either side here and white pieces either side here. Nothing in the middle there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and stick these down. Okay, so as you can see, if I just pop this open, you've got a hexagonal tower card with these bits sticking out. And as you can see, colour coding them with the backing card actually does help, like with the pattern. It does, I think it really helps. It helps to blend it a bit more. You're not going to see much of these because he's going to be covered with embellishments, but just in case you do see a bit of it, it just helps to kind of blend it a bit more, I think. Right, so now what we're going to do, if you want to, you can go and add pattern paper, like whatever this is, you can add that on the front there if you want to, you know, and inside, if you really want to, you can. I'm not that concerned because it's such a small gap there. And I was actually toying with the idea, instead of doing 1/2 inch, doing 3/8. But I just couldn't be faffed with sorting out 8s. So that's why I went for 1/2 inch. 1/2 inches are easy to deal with. So we're now going to take the little pieces and we're going to put tape on the back, exactly the same as we did with the bigger pieces. Okay, so now we've gone ahead and done that, so they've all got tape on the back. We're now going to take the corresponding colour, so white on white, blue on blue, and we're just going to peel the backing off, and then with the small section at the bottom, the side at the bottom, you're just going to stick it on so that that bit there marries up with the fold line there. So I'm going to go around and do that with all of my 5 pieces. Okay, so when you fluff them down, you should end up with, let's just squash these down, you should end up with that. Okay, so you've got all your little pieces all hanging off. It's a little bit like the, oh, I don't know what I did it. I don't know what I called it. I'll put a little card to it up here. Okay, so once we've done that, so now you want to cut yourself out a whole load of pieces. And what we're going to do is just going to start putting them on here. So you're going to have some here, maybe some on here, and you're just going to layer them all up. So I'm going to just fold that back bit down and fold this back bit like this. And I'm just going to keep that like that And then I've cut myself out a whole load of pieces. I didn't know exactly what I was going to need, so I just cut out loads of bits and bobs. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use whatever I can, wherever I can. So I've got a couple of guitars, so I think they might have to go on, I don't know, insides or outsides. The one thing to remember when you're decorating, at the moment, this will fit in to a 6x6, an envelope for a 6x6 card. So this actually measures 5 1/4 by 6 inches. Okay, now you could, if you wanted to, score your base so that each section was 2 inches, and then it would fit into a 6x6. But I've done it this way, just so then if you want to go a little bit extra, you can. You've got that bit of gap. So for example, if I want this guitar and it sticks off a little bit here, as long as my outside frame is 6x6, I can still fit it in a 6x6 envelope. So that's why I've done it a little bit smaller. But otherwise, if you are doing it a little bit larger, and when you fold it flat, it's already 6x6, you just need to make sure that whatever you put on these outside panels with embellishments does not go over that edge. Otherwise, you're going to have to make yourself a larger envelope. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, in the middle section doesn't really matter because you've got this to play. It's going to fold flat like that. You've got that bit to play with. So, you know, and also just bear in mind, so for example, if I have that like that, but then on this one, I've got one going this way, they might clash when it opens up. So just, again, just keep opening it, folding it flat, making sure where you're sticking things, you know, it's okay, etc, etc. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead now and start sticking bits and bobs down. I shall speed it all up. I might even cut bits out because this could take me a while. So yeah, so I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so I went ahead and decorated it up. So this is what it looks like when it's finished. So I've just gone a bit crazy with all the male stuff. Obviously this will open up. That guitar is a bit in the way. I probably shouldn't have put that guitar there. But anyway, when I go to write it, it's not a problem because I can always fold that flat or move it out of the way or do something to it so I can write in it. I might actually re-stick him, I'm not sure. We should have done him a different way. But anyway. So yeah, so that's the finished thing. And obviously it all folds flat down for posting. That's what it looks like from the top. So to fold it flat, I will start at the back, fold that down like that, fold the whole thing down, and then you just fold all of your little sections up like that, and then fold all of these sections up like that. And as you can see, mine pops over the edge ever so slightly, but if I measure that from the widest point on the left to the widest point on the right, it only comes to 5 1/2. So I've still got another 1/2 inch, so it will fit in an envelope for 6x6. And my guitar doesn't pop out the top when you shut it, so that's good. So just be aware of all those things. Regarding papers and things I've used for this, I've used papers that are from a long time ago because they're from things from my stash, so you might not be able to get hold of them. I'm sorry about that, but I'm struggling for new papers at the moment. Trimcraft haven't brought anything out yet, and nor have Docrafts, and they're my two main paper sources, if I'm honest. And where I'm looking online, I've seen things that are reduced, or things that aren't reduced but are actually not new things. So I'm struggling to get new stuff. So the papers that I've used here are this one, which is from ages ago, Papermania Heritage Press. It's the A4 paper pack, and there was also a die cut like sentiments that came with it. But I've just used the papers for this one. Then these are from Trimcraft. I think these are still available on their craftlabel.com site, and I think you can get them on Amazon as well. And then there was a whole set of dies that I got. Again, I think it was Amazon. I shall try and find the link, and I'll link it below if I can, which had the guitar and the microphone, and I think it had musical notes with it as well. And then the top hats and the clock, the little watch things, that was an old first edition dies, but I think they're still available. The waistcoat again, and the tie came with it. Again, that was an Amazon one. Again, I'll try and find the link. Yeah, and that's everything. So yeah, I think if I did it again, I would make it so that you can't see all these struts, because I'm glad I did them coloured. The white ones stand out a little bit at the back here, like where I haven't fully covered up my struts. They do stand out a bit too much for my liking. But I'm still happy with it. I am happy with it. I think it's quite a cool. I like the fact it folds flat. I did put some foam pads on the top ones, but only thin ones. The hunky-dory ones, really thin hunky-dory ones. But yeah, so that's what it looks like. So hopefully you'll have a go. As I said, there's all sorts of things you can do with this. My craft lady Leslie, as I mentioned at the beginning, she did it with butterflies, and that looked really nice. She actually did her struts the other way around, like we did on the Glorious pop-up card, because that was her inspiration. But I decided to turn it so that they fold up rather than across, because then it makes it easier for fitting it into an envelope. But yeah, hopefully you'll have a go. Please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. And we'll see you next time. Bye.